Gone live, right, okay, just need to make sure the audio is on. Right, we'll get going. Right, so I'm going to talk about kind of the different, we've all heard of post-traumatic stress. Don't know if you've even suffered from it. It can be quite major, obviously, post-traumatic stress, years to get over. I'm not a bloody therapist or anything. I'm not claiming to sort of solve everyone's mental ills, but I'm just going to highlight the difference between stress and a term called post-traumatic growth, which I've wrote my own notes down, typed them out, but I've also got a bit of information from Scott's new book, The Eye of the Storm. Just found this in here. There's a section on post-traumatic growth, so I'm just going to read a bit of it because it's pulled out a few important points about what is post-traumatic growth. So this is all about your perceptions and interpretations of reality, basically, and how you respond to things, you know, because things happen, and how we respond with our emotions matters a hell of a lot more than, what actually happens. Obviously, you know, you can't stop things happening to you. As Scott said earlier in the book, he talks about the 2 arrow. The first, avoid the second arrow. The first arrow is the thing happening, which hurts. The second arrow is you giving it a really bad story, like you're using your emotions and almost like filling in the blanks and, hurting yourself even more by creating a negative story when you should. The concept of reframing anything, right? This is how the essence of post-traumatic growth is your ability to reframe. So I'm just going to read a bit of it, right? Okay. Jane and John get made redundant from the same firm due to restructuring. Both have worked for it for over 20 years and young families to support, mortgages to pay, all the rest of it, right? Jane doesn't like feeling uncomfortable. She needs tremendous certainty and control in her life, and even though she has no influence over most of it, right? This is the issue, right? People that want that certainty, but have no control over it, right? Yet they still want the certainty. So Jane's one of these people. She often looks for what's wrong and what's not working. After losing her job, she thinks, why is life so unfair? She struggles to adapt to the sudden change and becomes depressed, and she struggles to move on from that, right? The other person, John, right? Meanwhile, John is feeling disappointed. He accepts that he only has control over what he chooses to focus on, the meaning he gives things, and what action he takes. He immediately thinks of all the new opportunities he can explore now that he isn't stuck in the same job. Because he perceives adversity as an opportunity for growth, self-reflection and transformation, John is likely to experience post-traumatic growth. So there you go, there's an example, right? And the idea is, it says here, it may also develop new perspectives and priorities and become more resilient. Searching for a greater purpose helps people like John gain a sense of direction and build motivation and resilience. It also helps to make sense of challenges. Finding meaning in adversity can contribute to a greater sense of well-being, right? And post-traumatic growth occurs when you reframe your experience of the challenge you're facing. Doing so will help you make you stronger because of the difficulties you've overcome. How can you develop post-traumatic growth? By working on your skills. Besides the skills related to your profession and work, focus on other things that you'll benefit. For example, learn how to become, better at public speaking, improve your networking, whatever, right? But the idea there, that reframing element, right, is super important. Just think about the difference there between Jane and John. Jane needed tremendous certainty in her life, even though she didn't control any of it, certainly the job loss. Totally out of her control. She was just handed her cards, sent packing. Horrible if that ever happens. It's happened to a friend of mine at the minute, who's worked at a company and he's now out of a job. I know it's happening everywhere. But she almost like needed certainty with that job, even though it was out of her control. Whereas John, he's like, okay, I've been made redundant. It's out of my control. What can I do? What can I do right now? Well, he can look at what skills he's got. He's looking at opportunities. Like, sometimes you can get stuck in a job. Maybe it becomes a new future. And something else I've wrote down here, right, is I was having a little think about this, how obviously I'm a big journaling fan, how journaling can help with post-traumatic growth, right? And I've wrote some notes. I'm just going to say them. Reframing the past as above, as we've discussed in that case. So reframing, looking for, instead of going into like a negative spiral of something happens, let's say you don't have all the facts. When you don't have all the facts and you just, you don't know why something's happened, we tend to fill in the blanks with our brains. And if we're on that kind of negative path, we'll start, filling in negative thoughts about why you got fired or why someone left you or whatever. You can think of or why someone's not getting back to you. There's one. Are you getting ghosted? Why someone hasn't got back to you. There's all sorts of, they might be just busy, but we fill in the blanks with all this negativity. And that can lead to stress or depression and things, right? The post-traumatic growth route is to reframe it and choose more of a positive story, right? So here now, this is why one of the best things about journaling, it's like, how can journaling help with post-traumatic growth? Reframing the past by writing it down to set the day's intentions and practice daily gratitude, incremental progress towards your goals, and reciting positive affirmations, right? And this is one of the great things when you're on a growth mindset, just knowing, like, you can't stop things happening, but if you make little daily progress, and you can take this is like in my journal, what are the top 3 things that I'm going to do today? I write down 3 things, and as long as I do them and tick them off, I know I'm moving towards my goals. I know I'm living the life on my terms, living with intent. And the great thing about it is, it doesn't matter what happens around you. Who cares? You've got a direction, you're working towards it, and you're ticking them off, because them are things that you can do. I wrote down this morning 3 things that I need to do. Let's have a little look. Right. Okay. I've pretty much done all 3 already, right? I know it's a bit early, but I like to do things in the morning. I've just done my key meeting of the day. So I'm going to tick that. Tick. How good does that feel to tick it? I've edited a video, so I'm going to tick that. And I've got to sketch out like a product roadmap later, but I've done a draft, so I might be able to tick that. But just being able to tick them off feels fantastic, right? And rather than worrying about what's happening and did we lose that contract, did we lose this sale, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just carrying on and doing what I can do. And then also, the other thing with journaling, following by a reflection at the end of the day. The reflection part is super important. To reflect on the day, you know what I mean? Sit down and actually think about what happened. This active reframing through writing and reflection helps you to understand what happened, reflect on it, and learn to stay in the moment. This is the other thing as well with journaling. You're writing in the moment at that time, not thinking about the past. You're writing about today, whilst also working on your future self. Tick, tick, tick. It's very powerful. I think it is super powerful. I think there's nothing like writing pen to paper about your thoughts, and also to see that, that sort of like everyday look back and just see this tick, tick, tick. Like, do I honestly care what's happening outside of what I can control when I can see all the progress I'm making every day? So, yes, post-traumatic growth is reframing, of course, whatever happens, reframing, staying in the moment, focusing on what you can actually do right now. There's always things that you can do right now, irrespective right? That person that loses the job, like my friend, you know, what does he do? Well, looks at it as an opportunity. He'd been there a while, and it was a bit of a, he was kind of stuck in a rut, you know. So he's now brushing up his CV, looking at new opportunities. He's not desperate, but there's going to become a point. But you know what? He'll end up getting something more suitable for him. And also, I've had these scenarios in business, you know, where you lose, like I lost a client once, that although it was good money, that client was giving me a lot of headache. Yeah, we lost some money, but you know what we did gain? It was like almost like getting rid of an 80-20, you know, like the person that gives you the most hassle. So reframing it to say, you know what, I don't have to work with them anymore. I love all my clients. I have to tolerate them. Of course, most of them are brilliant, but sometimes clients can be difficult. And it's like anything. It's like relationships, personal, professional. Sometimes you have to walk away from them, and reframing it as, well, there are new opportunities, new clients out there, new people to meet. You know, having more control over making that decision to not stop working with them or stop seeing someone, and making the decision to forge a new path, you know, working towards your goals. That's what it's all about. So yeah, pretty much. Not much else I can talk about. Let me know in the comments if you have any comments about that, whether you have experienced any issues of kind of trauma, or they can be mini events, you know, it don't have to be full on PTSD, but just remember that whatever happens, try and apply a post-traumatic growth approach, and that is reframe what happened. Don't always tell a negative story. Quite often we don't know the facts. In a lot of situations that happen, we don't know. All we know, you know, what are the objective facts? What could have happened with that person or whatever? Why are they not getting back to me? Is it, you know, is there something happened? Are they busy? You don't know. So the worst thing you can do is start, your brain will start filling in the blanks with negative reasons why. Post-traumatic growth is about reframing, right? And looking at what are the opportunities from it? How can you grow from it? How can you reflect on it? All that kind of thing, right? And then stay in the moment and just start focusing on what you can control. Sounds like a cliche, but it's pretty simple, really. Simple but hard to do. But that's what you should practice, all right? Thank you for listening. Go and have a look at some of my other videos. I think I did one called, it was in the winter. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about kind of overcoming adversity. Great one. I might later on, I'll tell you, I can't even remember the name of it, but I will go back and edit the description of this live and drop it in. All right. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a good day, and see you all next time.